Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. In today's culture, that's labeled toxic masculinity. But Scripture reveals the truth. Strength that is rooted in love is biblical masculinity. Make your choice.
Welcome back to the Choice Podcast. I'm sure, Matty, are the cameras running?
Yes.
Man, you are on it tonight. Bam,
Yeah, you
listen.
The only thing I was slow on was the timer.
No, well, how about the time? Because look, episode, what's behind me? 74?
74.
74. I got it right because we wrote it down last week. But listen, we started, boys, maybe for the first time ever.
On time.
On time. And so this
Don't
would
expect
actually,
it ever again.
I know. This would actually, in Jesus' time on earth, have been considered the 12th hour of the day. Did you know that?
I did not.
So the 6th hour of the day was noon. Okay. So that makes the 9th hour of the day, which I will come to in a second. It makes it 3 o'clock. So that would make this the 12th hour of the day. Here's why I bring that up, Josh.
Oh, I get it now.
Because what is the significance of, my good friend, the 9th hour of the day?
It's when we're going to start episode 74. Something tells me that's not what he wanted.
But it's what he's got.
This is one of them Paul moments. That was the
Roman
hour
God?
in which I think it was for 3 hours, but the moment that Jesus died on the cross was around the 9th hour of the day.
You ever wonder?
The veil was torn, the earth shook, the sky was darkened for, I think, 3 hours, 6th to the 9th hour that day. And I bring it up, Josh, and I know you're getting to a point, but because yesterday was Easter.
Oh, right. Easter, the holiday about bunny rabbits and colored eggs for some reason. Because that goes together about like, it goes together like,
What's wrong with you?
It was needed.
it goes together like po' boys and yogurt or something.
Po' boys and yogurt.
There was a place in
There's a
Lafayette.
real record scratch.
There was a place in Lafayette called Big G's Po' Boys and Yogurt. What is that even about?
If your name's Big G, you probably ain't a po' boy.
Well, po' boy is just like a.
Well, maybe you are.
Like think of
I'm
like a
not real
sub
sure.
sandwich. Think of a sub sandwich.
I know what you meant.
But so here's the question: why would you put those two together? Which is the same question.
Would you
why
say ice cream or
no,
yogurt?
Yogurt and po' boys.
Ugh.
Why would you put Easter bunnies or bunny rabbits and colored eggs
Doesn't
together?
a po' boy have sauerkraut? Is that true?
No,
I don't know, actually.
No,
That was the
He
answer
looked
to
at
the
me
question.
like-
he
my
asked.
heart just hurt inside my chest.
Well, you're just going to hurt double because I don't know.
Oh,
what
the
you're
man
talking
who knows
either.
about food doesn't know that.
I'm gonna have to bring y'all a po' boy.
Please.
Not
Holly
if it
can
has
make
sauerkraut.
Please.
No, we're not doing sauerkraut on them.
It's just
that's
That's a
heresy.
Reuben.
Which is also the dumbest sandwich. Corned beef
Ladies and gentlemen,
hash
we're talking
and
about
Thousand Island
sandwiches today.
dressing.
I thought
That
you were
is
going to
all.
say because it was named after a person.
No, my brother-in-law's name is Reuben. He's not dumb at all. He's a smart dude.
I know
Very smart.
Reuben. He's pretty smart too.
Well, I just thought it was a dumb
But
name for a sandwich
sandwich
because it
is
was named
dumb.
after a person.
Well, that's not why. It's
Yeah,
dumb
but
because
what-
it
is
has
there a
Thousand
sandwich-
Island dressing on it.
And where the Thousand Islands come from? Where
I used to live
Can we
in
get back on track? That was,
I used to live in the Thousand Island region.
that's the judge?
That's the
He
gavel.
added that. That's new.
It may not sound like a gavel,
And
but
clearly it didn't work.
I used to live in the Thousand Island region.
What is that?
It's upstate New York, in between.
Oh, it is.
In between Clayton, New York, and Canada.
You live there?
I did.
What have you not done?
Well, that was my first duty station in the Army at Fort Drum.
Yeah, that place is cold. We've been there a couple
Yeah,
times.
we've
It's
heard
awful.
stories.
It's awful.
Fort Drum, it used to be apparently like a bustling base.
Yeah.
No, not Fort Drum. I'm sorry.
It-
What's
it
the
was.
Air Force base? Rome, in Rome.
Griffiths.
Get that one, which used to be a bustling Air Force base. Cold War maybe, but it's not anymore. It's still a base. We've
They have
been
an
there.
NCO club called Pudgies.
Pudgies.
They
I
hosted
don't
Woodstock
remember that.
99 too.
They did?
Griffiths? Yeah.
That was really?
Yep. Woodstock 99 was held at Griffiths Air Force Base in
And
Rome,
this
New York.
is exactly how we on the podcast talk about Easter.
I was trying to talk about Easter, and we got
You
Thanks,
derailed
Matty
us.
B podcast. I mean,
Yeah, Matty B.
Woodstock guy. That's all right.
Hey.
But sorry, 9th hour, Josh.
Yeah, man.
Crucifixion, and I bring it up because today is, what is today in real time? It's the 6th of April. Yesterday was Easter, and I say that because, man, there's just, I don't know why. I will tell you this. The top In the top 5 Sunday, no, that's the wrong phrasing. In the top 5 church services I've been to, Easter and Good Friday are probably Good Friday 1 and 2, and Easter makes up the rest. Christmas Eve's good, but there's just something about, and the way that we've done it here at Choice in the last 4 or 5 years when we started doing Good Friday services, or at least post-COVID we did, and you bring folks in, because think about it. Real quick for the folks, the fellas that aren't fully aware out there or fully tracking, Good Friday isn't actually good. Why do we call it Good Friday?
I don't know where the name came from.
That is actually the day that Jesus was crucified, was on the Good Friday, right?
Yeah.
On that Friday. And maybe you can do the math, you're smarter than me, but for 3 days he was in the tomb,
Which
Friday,
makes it,
Saturday, Sunday. But 3 calendar days, not 72 hours.
Yeah.
But on the third day, he rose, right? But Good Friday, back to that point, like these services of Good Friday is when Jesus was crucified. So no one knew. So everybody knows now the end of the story. But think about this. Even his disciples who were given as many of the keys of the kingdom and castle as he could tell them and revealed to them, they still weren't prepped for what came next, I don't think.
Well, I don't think they could fathom it in their little pea brains. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think we'd all be stuck in a very similar situation. But, when Jesus dies, when they witness his crucifixion, they ran. Dude, it was hide.
Oh, yeah, they were out of there.
Think of like escape and evade type thing.
Because they were fixing to get
They were
next.
like, dude, we are next.
Yep, they were next.
And
later on, they were.
They were, and they didn't mind. But until they found out the tomb was empty, they were kind of cowardice, right?
Yes, and that's the point. So Good Friday, those services in the last couple of years have been, and we deliberately solemn. Like, it's a pretty depressing thing because they're trying to set the mood where you don't really know what's happening. So a couple years ago, I know we did like only half of all these songs, only the depressing half of these resurrection songs. Well, and then you finish the songs on Sunday. Yeah, well, that was cool.
Trying to get you to understand the gravity of what that day was about. And so that's what all these holidays are about nowadays, is the remembrance, the remembering of these things. You have Martin Luther King Day. Well, that's about remembering him. You have Veterans Day or Memorial Day. Well, this Christmas we celebrate, or this Easter we celebrate, is in honor of and remembering the birth and the resurrection, or in Good Friday's case, the death of Christ, the work he did on the cross. Death and
burial, not resurrection, so don't say that. Yeah, just death and burial, right?
Yeah, and then Easter, though. I mean,
exactly. That's the resurrection.
And so then, speaking of Good Friday, have you heard, I forget, is it Josh Howerton maybe that said this? I heard it from him. So whatever it was, Aramaic, the translation of the last thing Jesus said on the cross, we always say, well, it says it is finished. Well, the word is actually tetelestai, right? And tetelestai is interesting. It's not just a very unfulfilled definition would be, right, or an incomplete definition would be, it is finished. But it's what a commander of a warring armed forces would say after they won the battle. It was a victory cry that the battle is over and they won. It's also a command, or not a command, it's also a word that would be said when a sentence that was ordered by a court was fulfilled.
Huh. Okay.
So how about that, dude?
Yeah, I didn't know
the
that.
last word out of his mouth was, this battle is done. And this court-ordered sentence for justice required, completely fulfilled.
Done been won, that's what he said.
All your junk in your life, Josh, paid for in full. Done. Not just, it is finished. Bro, it is finished is good, but that ain't enough to capture the whole thing, is what I'm saying. It's more than that.
That's pretty heavy, but also super rich.
Yeah.
Because it's meaningful. And those are some of the words. So, because some of these stories we see in the Gospels, they aren't necessarily word for word. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, exactly what he said was exactly what was captured. Probably some of them are, but I don't think all of them probably are. But I will say this. I would almost guarantee you Like if that at that exact moment, you will know exactly what he said and remember that and write that down nearly or verbatim or exactly.
When will you know? You said on that moment you will know or something?
No, I'm saying that like for some of these other stories that you kind of
Oh.
told them, gathered around, Sermon on the Mount, like they're probably a little bit of, he didn't say exactly those words in that exact order, but some gist of that. But the words on the cross as he's dying and the earth shook and it was dark for 3 hours that day, the moment, they're like, I know exactly what he said. To your point, it adds clarity.
Yeah, and do you know when the earth shook and it went dark, do you know there's ancient Japanese writings that testify to the exact same day when the sun went out?
I did not know that.
What the heck, dude? If that didn't just make something weird like go up your spine for a second, you know, you need to check and see if you have a pulse.
That's interesting. I did not know
But
that.
here's something else that's very interesting. I'm about to blow you out of the water with my facts on this episode.
Uh-oh.
So we might need to lay this out for the folks listening.
Are we talking about what we're going to actually do?
Yep.
Oh boy. On this episode, we will be talking about, so this is the first of the founding fathers.
It's been long awaited.
Before we get to that, speaking of going dark, Josh, there's an update to the podcast release dates that we got to let people know about.
My screen just went dark.
It actually did?
Yep.
That's ironic. All right, so here's the thing. Normally, hey, look, hit that gavel again. That's brand new. I like that.
I think, first of all, one rule we need to make right. Oh, no, we need to finish this piece.
Yeah, this is a quick thought. So normally we release, and we have been for a long time, on Sunday nights at midnight, so you'll have it for Monday, and Wednesdays at noon, so you have it for the second half of
And
your
we
week.
did that purposefully as a new podcast because we wanted to build up a library for new listeners.
Point. Yeah.
We were trying to, I don't want to say like stack the deck, but give them a library of content to listen if they came in late and they enjoyed it and said, man, I wish there was another one. So we were trying to put some quantity yet still with quality out there.
Good point.
So anyway, go ahead.
Right, and so that's the way it's been going since the beginning of this thing last summer, which is crazy. We've been doing this 9 months, but only 9 months. Like we haven't even been a year. Our Forge thing, which has taken off, it's now we talked about. It's like in 4 or 5 different churches. It's still less than a year old, Josh.
And another church
That's hard
talking
to
to us about it.
remember and think about. But anyway,
Yeah.
he's just blessed that stuff and like the men.
And it's a good testament to the fishes and the loaves. Like you just bring the feeble, minuscule little gifts you have, and he will multiply them.
Yeah, he has done that.
And we just brought what we had, and he's doing what he wants with it.
Exactly. And
Did
he
you
will
just
continue.
get up and make it warmer in here or colder in here?
I didn't. I got my phone.
Well, let me go ahead and take care of that, and you keep talking.
Yeah. So we released right now. Release Sundays at midnight and Wednesdays at noon. We are going to change that going forward since we're on around episode 75. It seems like a decent milestone to make a small shift. And just because of longevity and just because of the fact that like we want to continue to put content out, we want to make sure we have time to do it because Maddie B, we all work other regular jobs. And it's about time to catch. So, you sprint out of the gate at a marathon, right, Maddie B? And
But then you got to get your pace.
Then you got to get your pace. And so our new pace will be Sunday at midnight, and then the next one will be Sunday at midnight.
and here's the deal. If you really don't like that, then you need to be writing us and telling us about it.
Yeah, if you hate it.
TheChoicePodcast.com.
If you
No, the Choice Podcast Show at gmail.com.
If you really hate it, send us an email and tell us what you'd rather see because it's your podcast too.
That's a good point. And so for the next several, we are going to start releasing on Mondays. And so that'll be 4 per month, plus probably here and there we'll have a special episode, I'd imagine.
Like a Dudes in the News or something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Or somebody, what'd you say?
Something like that.
Yeah,
just a special episode.
An update.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we'll be.
Forge, whatever it
if
be.
you hear or you don't see one on Wednesday, fret not. You'll get one on Sunday. And if if y'all want, you're bored, you need to listen, go back and catch up. things. I don't even remember what I couldn't even tell you what we said.
I know we talked a lot
In
about
the first
chickens.
50.
And
I can't.
Can crow smell?
I was telling somebody else
Or
about
vultures.
that was asking about this thing today, and I was like, man, what did we talk about in the first 50? But
No
I
clue.
said the chickens is for sure.
Andrew.
Birds
I
smelling.
didn't say Andrew.
Crows can smell.
I didn't say any of that. See, I forgot all that. Like, I know we did it because you just brought it up.
Fort Clucks.
Fort Clucks.
Huh?
Oh, you know the other story I told him? About the sergeant major taking his wooden arm off.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorites. But anyway, so
forgot about
your
that.
chicken coop.
Mm.
Yeah. Isn't that what?
My yoke is easy.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
so anyways, Sundays once a week. If you hate it, we're sorry.
Just
Email
tell
us in
us.
and we'll adjust it. We'll
Explain.
pivot. Yeah, we think it'll be
Explain
fine.
if you make a
Tag
good
us on Facebook. Just let us know.
yeah, if you make a good case to why we should do it differently, we're open to change.
Heck, why don't you come on the show and defend?
That's true too. All right, so for the next 12 episodes or so, Josh, this is what we really
Have
wanted
been waiting for.
Yeah. And the reason I brought Easter up was mostly because Easter's a celebration, and that church service was off the chain yesterday.
Well, it
was
should be a celebration. We were talking about this. We were breaking bread before the show. We were just talking like if you go to maybe not a Saints game, but if you go to a winning football
Because
team,
they don't score anymore.
right? Because they're confused about whether or not they should get a touchdown. But if you go to a winning team's football game, and the team comes out, what are the team locker room? They run out in the field. They take the field.
Tunnel.
And if you're their fan, you're on your feet cheering for your boys.
Great point.
They just came out. Why are you not cheering like that? Why are you not cheering like that when you're talking about the tomb is empty?
Oh, yeah.
It is
You're right.
done.
And I came in a sour mood,
is there
and
any-
I left on cloud 9.
Is
The Holy
there
Spirit
any
took care
other
of that.
reason to be cheering? You're out there with a oversized popcorn and a foam finger #1 that says Packers or whatever. Probably not Cowboys because weirdos anyway. It's not God's team.
It is America's team, and
Yeah,
we're going to
hardly.
actually.
I'm just
and
saying it's
we
not
are going
biblical.
to determine whether America, which was founded by Christians, so it may in fact be
Just a footnote. I am a fair weather fan of the one team that is in the Bible.
the Saints.
You got it.
Get out of here! You're crazy. So on this
Yeah.
episode and for the next, I don't
Let's
know,
go.
11, 12 or so.
11 or 12 till
Josh-
we get to July 4th.
What's the significance of this year in general?
This, you really have to prep me when you ask me questions, but I think I got this one.
Listen, that's how
This
they know
is
we
the
don't make this.
250th
That's right.
birthday of this great
That's
nation.
exactly right.
But we have questions that need answers
That's correct.
because out there in the wild, where the
wild?
human beings walk around loose, uncaged, there are
Are
people
you talking about my children, the feral children? We've
Might
been
as well.
accused. All right, we're not gonna ever get into the point here, but I've been accused in our parental history of having to put a leash on our feral children.
I have
Let me
offered.
tell ya.
Well, look, I'm with you because I've offered a number of times when they were little and I was getting tired, not really of changing diapers. I was getting tired of buying them because I was broke. And I said, Holly, look,
Uh-oh.
you're a child kind of person. I'm a dog kind of person. Here's all I'm saying. We've had this one for over a year. He still poops in a diaper.
The oldest.
This dog, I housebroke in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If you want me to crate train this child of yours, maybe
Just say
that'll
the
help.
word.
And I told her, I said, look, it's basically the same thing. Just he got a tail and he got thumbs. Other than that, the crate training should still work.
And the ability to reason.
She was completely unimpressed.
She was cool. Yeah. It's fine, and I would have been too.
And we can argue about this on the next episode, but I do believe they can reason. We'll come back to that later.
Dogs?
Yeah, 100%. I got proof. Next time.
And so
Let's move along.
All right, then I won't tell the rest of
Moving
that
right
feral
along.
children story. But we have
sorry,
been
we need to
accused
talk
of the
about
feral
that.
children, and they were mostly they had grounds.
Well,
which
let's
is-
hear it. Continue with this
So
feral
this
children
is much
thing.
like the founding fathers on trial. Okay.
Okay.
I will give you the evidence very quickly. This will be less than a minute. And you can say, yep, feral, or no, they're just kids. Okay. We lived on base. It was officer housing. The kids were ages 12 and to 6. It was only the oldest 2 or 3 that we're even talking about. Oldest 2 probably 12 and 10. When the lights go off, you can go. When they come on, you come home. And I don't care where you run. And there was connecting neighborhoods, and there was one particular colonel's wife in her yard that she was very protective of. But it was also the closest point of approach to the neighborhood where all their kids were, with friends, staff and CO housing, where all their friends lived.
I love it.
As they would go, that was it. They probably had wore a path into that yard. I don't know because I didn't go over and look. But I caught her or overheard her at the club, the O Club one, Friday or whatever, evening, Thursday, who knows what it was. And saying, the feral children from Jefferson Loop are through my yard all the time and someone needs to get control of them. And mine wasn't the only ones, but they were certainly included. So in your opinion, was it justified or unjustified?
Her comments?
Yes.
Oh, well, if I'd have been in your shoes, I might have sauntered right over to her and gave her a comment or two.
Well, there's this whole thing about there's a disconnect between captains and colonels.
Oh, yeah. No,
there's a few people in between the two of us at the moment.
I'm tracking. That's why I wasn't even allowed in the O Club. But but no, I think it was unjustified. Kids are going to be kids.
That's what I'm
saying. They
saying.
need to play. And if your kids are of the kind that'll go outside, then everybody should be happy because most of them, like her kids, probably stay in the basement.
And here's the chess I'd have played. So it's not I always say this all the time. You can play chess or checkers, Matty B. Other people play checkers. You should be playing chess. If it was me and the same situation happened, I wouldn't be playing checkers, which is just complaining about it. I'd be playing chess because you know what I would do? At the front entrance to the yard, back entrance to the yard, I'd probably grab like a 5-gallon bucket and fill that sucker with every soda, piece of chocolate candy. Like they can have anything they want anytime. They're going home at 7, 8 o'clock.
Just high on sugar.
Full of Mountain Dew because they're going to secretly sneak it into the woods and drink it before mom and dad catch them. That's the chess game. That's the chess game.
That's good.
Yeah. You go ahead. You want to run your kids through the yard. We'll play games.
We'll be so nice to them.
Yeah, they'll love us.
Yeah.
They'll come here all the time, and you're not going to know why until you see the buckets.
They're going to go home with a little tummy ache every night. What happened?
Tummy?
That's what little kids have, little tummy aches, right?
Not on this podcast.
Not on this podcast, but
anyway.
After I stuffed that kid full of cookies and cream, ice cream, and brownies, and some whatever Mountain Dew blue.
We will be talking about
weirdness.
A Tommy tonight.
Sure
Later tonight. But this episode, Josh, is who?
It's old Georgie.
And it's the 250th.
So, we decided we're going right to the top. Arguably the most well-known founding father out there, the one and only Mr. George Washington, who... that sound effect needs to happen every time the words Founding Fathers on Trial happens. Whenever you hear that, you've got to hit that.
At the beginning or the end or the middle?
The end, right at the end. Like, we're about to do another episode on the Founding Fathers on Trial. Boom, just like that.
Well done. All right, and so before
I love it.
We let you influence the audience anymore, which you just did by saying the most well-known, we're having a trial here. How about you?
Oh, you think that wasn't on purpose?
That's an objection. Exactly. Thank you. Can I get that sound? Can we have this sound effect? Is there an app I can push on the phone? Because y'all just heard my phone get a text.
Wait a minute. I want to hear your best order in the court.
Order in the court.
You got to get Whopper saying that. Or no, Judge Judy.
Order in the court.
That's pretty ugly voice.
Yeah, I don't hate it. He didn't feel comfortable.
I kind of wish he was that guy from, what was it, Justice in Providence or whatever, Providence, Rhode Island. That dude's so cool. You know, he just passed away. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Poor dude. That's such a nice guy.
I almost want to get tickets just so he can go in his court.
Yeah, except he's
I'll
dead
think
now.
Of his name in a minute.
He's in heaven, though. He was saved.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He seemed like it. He had a good Christian morals and ideals, which we're going to be talking about tonight because it's America's 250th birthday this year.
So let's talk about what
we're
we're
going to do
doing.
a podcast on men. You know what men we're going to do? The quote-unquote alleged founding fathers. And the first person, last episode, we went through the criteria, and it was...
So the founding fathers have to be a signer of a founding document, the glare is unbelievable, a major leadership role in the revolution, or major author or influencer.
That's what
they're going to check at least one or more of those.
They have to.
Yeah, or otherwise they're not really a founding father.
That's what we decided.
And I actually threw number 3 in there.
Very subjective. We made it
to kind of catch a few others.
Yeah, the bonus.
Yeah, I put number 3 that just an author or influencer to catch a few outliners that could have been very influential, but may not have signed a document, may not have been elected.
Yeah, so we're going to spend the next 10 or 12 episodes kind of talking about men, but not men of the Bible, but we're going to determine if the men believed in the Bible, or really more specifically, if they were in fact Christians, because the claim, the problem statement is that we're solving.
Out there in the wild where those feral people are uncaged, they say
that America was not.
Well, I would take it a step further and
by Christians.
They would say that, no, you Christians are wrong. The founding fathers were not Christian believers. They were actually atheists.
Oh, atheists. That's
some do say that. Now, some will say deist and theist. Now,
well, we'll find out.
We're going to find out. So let me just run this down real fast. I don't think we need to define on this podcast what a Christian is, but we're going to say for an easy definition tied to Protestant or Catholic faith, right? Believer in the Bible, you get the whole deal. Deist and theist are the two that I get confused most often. So here's how I'm going to let you know. Theist believe in one or more God. Think Hindu, think Buddha.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Deist, the D is important. Deist, they believe in a creator God, but the D stands for they don't think he's involved in the world. So they're thinking he created the world and then backed off and just let these kids go.
Right.
And then you have agnostic who are just completely unsure about any of it and have no real opinion. And then atheists vehemently believe anybody that believes in a higher power is a nut job. There ain't nothing else. The Big Bang, we were all fish.
That's a very depressing. We said this.
We were all fish monkeys or whatever, ancestors of fish monkeys. Yeah. So
well, here's the list of the fellas. So just a few of the fellas that we're going to be guys you heard of, and maybe some you haven't, and we'll determine one or the other. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, John Jay. I didn't know about him. Samuel Adams. I didn't know he was more than a brewer. Just kidding. Patrick Henry, John Hancock, George Mason, James Monroe, Benjamin Rush, didn't know him. There's some names we didn't highlight that may or may not be included. Guys like Richard Henry Lee, Gouverneur Morris, Charles Pickney, Charles of Carrollton. I don't want to pick him. He's too snooty already. Samuel Chase, Williams Packard, Thomas Nelson. Guys, they didn't make the cut, but they may later. So we're going to determine if they are, in fact, founding fathers by our very scientific criteria or if they are Christians.
Let's go with it.
So roll. We're doing the very first one.
We're going to start
founding
off the
fathers.
top with, we're going to start with George Washington, the first president of these great United States, ladies and gentlemen.
You were supposed to do the... Yeah, come on. Here it is.
All right.
Court's in session, Josh, and here's the thing. But they don't know, and we really don't either. We're winging it. But here's the thing.
This will get better as we get better. Right now, we're not better.
I say that we're going to argue this together, okay? We each pick a side, and Maddie B is the judge, jury, and executioner. So it'll be unanimous vote, one person.
Okay.
So he will determine whether or not they are a founding father by the arguments we make, and we'll just have to go with it. And if we don't agree, then we'll outvote them. But here's the thing.
Groupthink.
But what you're going to hear, I think, on these episodes is don't think, and so here's the disclaimer, don't think that we don't necessarily think that, this is like you're taking on the antagonist argument here, right? Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And so one of us will argue he was a founding father. The other will argue he was not. One of us will argue he's a Christian. The other will argue he was not. Not because we're emotionally invested into it, but because we're trying to very pragmatically and very in a way that doesn't seem, it seems fair and it doesn't seem biased. Argue as best we can against and for these issues.
The bottom line is
we don't want it to be just we don't want to mail it in.
We don't want something to look so one-sided that we cherry pick these names, that we only picked ones we liked or would line up with us. And we want to hold him to the same measuring stick, which means I do believe we will have some that may not measure up to our measuring stick, but we will know in our heart, based on everything else, they really were one thing, but because of our dumb criteria we came up with, that we can't give them that. I say we just go for it. What side are you taking, sir?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I'm going to take the liberty because George Washington was all about it. I'm going to actually argue the defense side. So being that, I'm going to argue the nose. We'll call that. That's an easier way to understand it.
So you want me to start with what I think of George, and you're going to argue against me?
Yep, you get to go first and say he was a founding father, and here's why. I'll say here's why he wasn't. Then you will get to go first and say he was a Christian, and I'll say here's why he wasn't. And but before we do that, if you're listening, and Maddie's keeping score, I guess, but email us at thechoicepodcastshow@gmail.com if, as we go through these, there's a founding father you want to do that you didn't hear on this list we just did.
Or we cover one and we totally missed a good point.
We'll come back and fix it. Yeah, we sure will.
We'll come back and clean it up. So I will begin.
Right. Court's in session, Maddie B.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
We're winging this.
As part of my opening argument.
Actually, okay, go ahead. Well, I think we should probably argue. We're terrible at this. Who he was. Give us an overview on George before we argue these things. Or you think you already know?
You want to give the overview and I'll take the argument piece?
Good point. George Washington, full name, George Washington, born February 22nd, 1732 in Westmoreland County, Virginia. Actually, we can do this every time. Died December 14th, 1799 in Mount Vernon, Virginia. His primary identities were as a Virginia planter, surveyor, military officer, commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, president of the Constitutional Convention, and first president of the United States. His public image was a central national symbol of restraint, duty, and legitimacy in the American founding era. What he did led the Continental, because some of these people don't know what some of these guys did. What he did led the Continental Army through the Revolutionary War after Congress appointed him commander-in-chief in 1775, helped hold the revolutionary cause together during the years of military weakness, resigned his military commission in 1783 rather than keep power, attended the Constitutional Convention in 1787, became the first president of the United States after being unanimously elected by the Electoral College, and established major presidential precedents, which you'll probably argue for. What he's known for, well, I'm not going to tell you what he's known for. That's your job to...
Doggone right it is.
Your job to argue.
I think that's
enough. Here we go.
I think that's enough.
It's a good... you all know
that's
him.
Who this guy is.
One.
That's who he is and where he came from.
Okay.
So before I start my opening argument, I want to be real clear, or as I started, about presenting my evidence. First, I want to make it real clear that we cannot judge 18th century Anglican Christians by a 21st century evangelical Pentecostal standard. It was not the same. All right. Public reserve about personal faith was common among Anglican elites. Being publicly reserved, that was common.
You mean like not showing your faith?
Not saying not showing, but being a little bit
Private,
reserved,
okay.
a little bit tampered.
So not Choice Baptist
tempered.
on Easter Sunday.
On the left side, as you face the stage in the first three rows.
We were definitely not reserved, and I had a great time. Sorry, that was a rabbit hole.
So
a small one.
Faith was often expressed through your actions, through your duty, and through moral language, not emotions and not doctrinal writings. So the real question becomes, did George Washington live, lead, and speak as a Christian within the proper historical context? Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you.
And you're taking this serious. I just want y'all to
I
be
don't
prepared.
know
I'm not
where
this
this
serious.
is going to go. This will change so many times over time. And sadly enough, my Lowe's $5.99 glasses are falling apart, as you can see when I wiggle them. So the more I take them off my head, the more likely the left earpiece is going to fall off. And when it does, it's going to be a little bit funny looking.
You haven't broken a pen in a while. We
It's
talked about
coming
that
too.
pre-show.
I would say he explicitly affirmed
I didn't know
Christianity.
you could get glasses at Lowe's.
Dude, are you kidding me? These things are shatter resistant, and
Are they safety?
no, but they're readers. They're so good. $5.99. It's the hack
Very well.
for middle-aged dudes.
I'm a middle-aged guy. I don't have glasses.
I'm going to say that if Eric were to make a post on Facebook that said, "Happy Easter, everybody, he is risen."
Okay.
That one post and nothing else about his Christian faith, I'm going to say in 2026, people are going to accuse you of being a Christian based solely on that one post. So
I would be more skeptical than that.
I am going to
because I'm a
charge.
shameful person. I saw all that yesterday. I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Shame on me. But go ahead.
I'm going to charge the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to put aside their
Which is you,
cognitive.
Manny B.
To put
He's the judge,
aside,
too.
well, you're the man. That could be a lady,
Oh, I see.
right? So I don't know who we're talking to. It could be a guy. It could be a couple.
You said you explicitly. Can you repeat the last thing you said explicitly?
I will, but I'm going to ask first to please put aside your cognitive bias.
Okay.
If you're going to say a simple Facebook post with "Happy Birthday, Jesus" or "He has risen" is what you're going to call a Christian,
Off the mark.
then go ahead and hold the same standard for a dude who lived in the 18th century. Now, piece of evidence number one, I submit to you that he explicitly affirmed Christianity, including Christ.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the strongest textual evidence, the 1783 circular letter. You can go ahead and Google it. But Washington refers to Christ as the divine author of our blessed religion. Here's my question. Let's go back to the board.
Okay.
Some might say he's atheist, some agnostic, some theist, some deist, and some of us Christian. Let's take them off one by one.
From the bottom?
We can go from the bottom.
Are we allowed dialogue, Judge? Or does it
Well,
have to be to a minimal?
I don't mind. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because it's going to get the truth out.
No, you gotta
Give him his time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So atheist, he's already referencing the divine author of our blessed religion. We'll come back to the word divine and how important that is, but an atheist would not say anything such. Agnostic,
So you're scratching atheist off.
100%. I think if you're going to claim he's atheist, I'll destroy you. Agnostic as well. Now, theist and deist, you're a little bit more in the ballpark, but still wrong, and I'll let you know why. But
Hold on a second. Judge,
if you object, you have to object.
I object. We're not here arguing the Christian point. We're simply at this point only arguing. This is a procedural objection. We're only arguing founding fathers right now.
Oh, okay.
We will come back and re-argue that as trial 2. The first one is founding fathers.
You want to talk about is he a founding father or not?
Yes.
Well, I didn't realize that was the part that we were arguing. Well, he definitely is. Look at number 2.
Got him on kilter.
I think that judge needs to go ahead and outline the procedures here.
Okay.
Before he starts slamming his gavel around.
We said it.
So look, if that's what we're going to say, look at number 2, major leadership role in the revolution.
Okay.
I'll wait. Can anybody think of a more significant leadership role than George Washington?
We didn't say some of these weren't softballs. We're still going to debate it.
It's okay for you to now say no further comment.
No, I have comments. Are you done? Your only point.
He led the army that won our independence, and he became leadership role, the first president of these great United States. I rest my case.
That's
Okay.
it.
So-
well, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Let the judge.
Yeah, you're right. You can kick me out of this court. I'll go eat dinner.
We're never going to finish George Washington in 1 hour.
All right. So, signer of a founding document. You say yes, he was. All right. Major
He's keeping notes on his fancy iPad.
leadership role in the revolution. You're arguing that he did. And political leader, national level. All right, so 3 out of the 6. Would you?
Some would call that 4. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, he hasn't
Those are all
said the
bonus,
last two.
though. Okay.
He hasn't said the last two. Whether
He rested his case, so it's my turn.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you have to say before I let the
I don't think I need to say anything else.
prosecution have their round?
Go ahead, break it down one time.
I'm
homie.
the defense.
Oh, okay. Defense.
It doesn't really matter. I'm the no guy. All right, so
Dissenter.
I'm the dissenter here. I like that. What's the opposite of dissenter?
A center?
You're an dissenter. I'm a dissenter. There it is. All right, so
Let's
Josh,
get on with it. I got a busy schedule, busy docket to do, so let's hurry this along.
we'll have the same docket, Judge.
Are you
here till 10.
I will hold you in contempt
In
of court.
and in 25 minutes, we're gonna be on the other side of the moon. I want you to know that. But that's the next episode.
One
All
more
right,
smart.
we hope.
One more smart. Like out of you will be in contempt.
What does that mean?
You spend the night in jail.
Yeah, but what does that practically mean?
I think we're giving the judge too much power here.
Yeah, we've done with this.
He's now holding us in contempt. We're gonna get fines here in a minute.
So if you were going to call him a founding father, okay, and again, I'm going to just say, I'm going to argue this just because it's my role, not because I always believe it, but that's irrelevant. If you're going to call him a founding father, okay, I promise I'm not a communist, Matty B. I'm going to argue
Already
against this.
sounding like
But
it.
what is the most important thing that made America independent at that moment? What was the most important piece of paper that is a requirement to establish your independence? What's it called?
Well, hold on a
Judge?
second. Don't even answer it. This is your turn to talk, sir. Present your
Oh yeah,
arguments.
no dialogue. No dialogue.
That document
I know
is
where you're
called the Declaration of Independence. So
Yeah.
you would assume that if you considered yourself to be a founding father, if you wanted to be in that consideration, you would have not only attended, you would have signed that Declaration of Independence.
I think we should make this more conversational because it's gonna flow better. I would argue that you're right. That's a great point.
Rest my case.
However, I did not say no more comment.
You rested your case.
Here's what I would say to that. That's a great point. There's actually a few points you can bring up in your dissenting arguments.
Well, and I will
But-
if you let me.
but
do my
that one
argument,
doesn't
Mr.
hold water.
Prosecutor, Mr. Assenter.
That one doesn't hold water.
Well, you'll have your chance.
Oh, okay. No
retort?
back and forth communication. Go right ahead then.
At least for this
What
round.
else
the
do you
rules-
say?
The rules have been the rules, man. We can't even. No.
We would be the worst in a courtroom. The three of us would be awful.
All right. So my number one point is the man didn't sign the very Declaration of Independence of this great country. Okay. He wasn't even a primary drafter of the Constitution, and he had he didn't add any depth to the verbiage and words of it because my friend, as a founding father, one of your top three categories is major author and influencer, of which he was not a major author. No significant writings.
Did you hear why
Except
we
that
put
one-
number 3 in there? It was to catch some outliners because that wasn't really enough.
But anyway, so here's the other thing.
So you're arguing. Sorry to cut you off. So he didn't sign the document.
Did not.
You couldn't say the document. You could say the Declaration of Independence, but he did sign documents.
He did not sign the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, and he was not a major author. So right now, 1 in 3.
Yeah, currently. All right.
Okay.
And so I have one other one. Number one, he did not sign. He's not a principal writer or of the Declaration or Constitution. He was not a philosopher of the founding in the same way as the leading political writers of the time.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
He basically didn't write as much as everyone else.
Okay.
And then I think his fame can overshadow the larger network of founders whose intellectual contributions were more direct. And I get it that he led.
I wouldn't argue that.
He led the army, but leading the army, how does it? We're talking about founding father. Founding means you founded it. It was founded when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Therefore, you should be on it. It didn't say the fighting fathers. If we were calling it the fighting fathers, then he's clearly number one. But we called it the founding fathers. And so I will concede that he's crucial, but I still maintain the argument that he was more guardian than he was architect. That, Your Honor, and I now rest my case. I told you this wasn't going to be cream puff.
It's
We're
not
mailing
cream puff.
this in.
Okay, so we're going to hit this little racquetball back at you or whatever.
Yeah.
What do they do in tennis? We volley. We're going to volley this right back. You're right, sir. George Washington did, in fact, not sign the Declaration of Independence. And you might wonder, well,
most people didn't know that.
There has to be a reason. So you got to ask yourself, what was he doing during the signing of the Declaration of Independence? Eric, this is where you go, oh, crud, he came prepared.
Well,
he was actually serving as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army and was stationed at New York during its adoption. At the time of the Declaration of Independence was adopted, that would have been July 4th. That's the French way to say it, I guess. 1776. George Washington was leading the Continental Army in New York City, preparing for battle against British forces. One might say a little predisposed. He also, because he was the commander-in-chief at that time, was not taking a political role. He was taking an active role as a founding father to ensure this nation could have more founding fathers because he wasn't a sissy. That's why he wasn't a founding mother.
That was rude. Sorry, ladies.
It was.
Okay.
But he was appointed commander-in-chief by the Continental Army and the Second Continental Congress in 1775, not 1975. That had been different. And he resigned his position from Virginia to focus solely on military leadership. So that's why I say I'm going to give him a pass for not being a signer. But I'll tell you what, I got to admit, I was also surprised to not see his name on that document.
All right. I mean, that was it. You argued, I defended, you argued again. Well, I guess I didn't defend. Would you call it? I dissented. And now, Judge, you have to make the final decision. You didn't even give a sound effect. That's the one we're looking for.
All right. So based on the prerequisites that were laid out last episode, he checks more boxes of being a founding father
than
not.
Okay.
So my verdict, it is he is a founding father.
So be it. And in my closing statement,
more dramatic.
I would also say that other prominent figures that you might have read a minute ago from your phone, such as John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison.
Don't you sway future arguments.
Did not sign the Declaration. No, I'm just making...
George Washington is on trial right now.
I object to your objection.
Strike that from the record.
It is stricken from the record.
It was already brought up by him, and I'm simply saying, if you're going to call them founding fathers, they also did not sign the Declaration of Independence.
We're not talking about them. We're talking about George Washington.
We'll get to that.
That's not how the law works, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter. He's the one on trial.
That's right, but you have to use existing cases to prove your case.
This is the first case of this kind.
That's right. That's why we got to get it right.
So,
next.
They weren't all leading the Continental Army, so it's irrelevant. All right.
Founding father,
they
moving
have a good
on.
excuse.
You want to continue to make was he a Christian case? You were in the middle of that, which you've already given most points for. But go ahead, continue.
I already gave most points for what?
Most of your points for why he was a Christian. Or maybe you didn't.
Oh, I didn't get started.
Oh, then have at it.
He explicitly affirmed his Christianity, including in Christ, although he rarely mentions Christ. You might want to ask why they say rarely, because that would imply that he does mention it sometimes, which we've already said in 2026. If you mention it once on Facebook, you're probably a radical Christian. But in the 1783 circular letter, Washington refers to the divine author of our blessed religion. This just hit me in the car on the way over here, fellas. I want y'all to think about this. Divinity and divine. Those are two words we don't really use in our lexicon today, in our natural speak.
Yeah, true.
That's interesting. Doesn't mean anything about anything. I just noticed that. And several of the founding fathers who I would say, I'll just say gently, they lean more towards Christianity or theist or deist. they use divine and divinity rather often. We don't use that. Interesting to me. It means nothing about anything. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
We also don't wear wigs anymore.
Which they looked rather silly, a lot of them. Like some of those pictures, if I was their great-great-great-great-grandson, I'd be like, dang, man.
You ever hear about going to get your wig snapped? That's what they're talking about. And you powder them suckers. So you put them on and it was just like, poof. They probably smelled like baby powder.
That's so dumb. I bet it smelled worse than that. It probably smelled like cornstarch. All right.
What's that going to do for the wig?
I don't know. Make it stand straight? I don't know.
Okay.
In the 1779 Delaware Address, he mentions specifically, quote, the religion of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
These are not generic religious statements, Your Honor.
Can you give me that exhibit one more time?
The 1779 Delaware Address. These are not generic religious statements. They are identifying Christianity specifically, and they attribute it to a divine founder in Christ. In the 18th century, language calling Christ the divine author is a theological statement, not just cultural fluff. That was a churchism, if you will. That would be like the equivalent of us saying, God is good, and everybody else says, all the time, and all the time, God is good, you know? So he was using church language there. He did affirm Christ just sparingly and formally, which was typical, ready for this, of his station. How about that? That's also a phrase we don't use a lot.
Station. I was thinking paper, stationary.
His position.
Oh, okay.
His station. Now, let's not forget that this is a man who understands very clearly what America is and what it does not want to be. It does not want to recreate the Church of England. They do not want to have a church or a government mandate their church what they can and can't do. So while I will argue or submit that this was very important in his daily life, he was very cautious, and he would just say the divine authority, our creator, as opposed to saying God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, you know, so on and so forth. However, his silence on Jesus is cultural, not theological. He rarely mentions Jesus Christ, but that's exactly what you'd expect from a Virginia Anglican gentleman, a military commander, and a head of state trying to unify a nation to be something different than what England was. It's also important to understand that at that time in the nation, there were Anglicans, Presbyterians, Baptists, and Catholics. He didn't want to pit one against the other. Openly emphasizing one theological angle over another could be politically divisive and even religious doctrine divisive. After an English rule where the state mandated religious beliefs, Washington made clear references to his beliefs, but remained careful not to force them on anyone except his military, which I'll bring up later. Washington's restraint was deliberate, strategic, and consistent with leadership. He lived inside the church, not outside of it. This is one of the strongest points for the lifestyle argument or doctrine or practice. He was baptized in a Christian-believing, Bible-believing church. He was a lifelong member of the Anglican Episcopal Church, which believed in the Gospels, the divinity of Christ, the Trinity, the crucifixion, and the resurrection as an atonement for sins. And he served in the vestry of his church.
Were you a member of America in the last presidential administration?
Sure.
Do you believe in everything that they professed?
I'm glad you brought that up. So that's a good point. I would say, you know, you could probably go further. I was a member of the Army for 23 years, And a number of commander-in-chiefs we had, I did not align with them, or even better yet, a number of my commanders. I didn't align with their beliefs or the way they led their troops, but we were both members of the same army. What I would say to that, sir, is he not only
I
was
thought he was about to argue against himself.
was a member of the church, he was a vestry member, which means he was voted into that position of leadership. And then you ask yourself, what do vestry members do? They do a lot like what an elder would do, but they also have authority over the head of the church. So the pastor or the preacher is not the head.
Every
The
time you
vestry.
make a point, you look at me with like the
Oh,
take that look.
oh, that's exactly how it's meant.
I'm,
Wait, there's more. He also
I want to argue. What's in my
you're about to have
It's
I'm
so
about
hard
to
to be
give
quiet.
you. He also
I don't want to get yelled at and kicked
his
out of here.
out of his own pocket paid for all the pews in his church. So I would say this
biting
is
my
more
tongue.
than being American. This would be the equivalent to saying I'm a member of the Banditos Motorcycle Club. Also, I hold a senior leadership position in the Banditos Motorcycle Club. Also, I give heavily financially to my motorcycle club, and therefore,
Do you have that in writing, sir, or is that just hearsay?
oh, it's in writing. It's all over the place. You can start at the Mount Vernon website. It's clearly all over that. But the crazy thing is his church was called Truro Church,
What is it?
Turo.
Oh,
It was over in Fairfax, Virginia. And guess what? I've been to Truro Church,
that's some cool stuff. We
but
talked
it was
about
in
this.
Falls Church, not Fairfax. I don't know how close those are. Whatever.
They're right beside each other.
Are they?
Oh, and within
Okay.
drivable distance. But back
Um,
then there was horseable distance.
So vestry
drive a
members were
carriage.
not nominal
Can you milk a cat?
participants. Vestry
Maddie B?
members managed church affairs, oversaw doctrine and clergy, and represented spiritual leadership of their parish. Washington did not just associate with Christianity in his local church; he governed it. He promoted Christianity as true and beneficial. He specifically elevated Christian morality above all others, Christian identity in his ranks. He required, when they first made the First Continental Army, required them to attend church services. So his belief in providence aligns with the Christian theism. Providence, the great authors, the ruler of events, these are all providential comments, but we know clearly he's far beyond theist. Theist would be in line with any millions of gods. Thank you, Hindus.
Sir, can you start wrapping it up? This isn't just a you show here.
Yeah, we're almost there.
That's gonna be my opening folly.
Can you just wrap it up quickly so we can get on with
Thank
this?
you, Judge.
I feel this judge is being very one-sided.
And a little
One-sided?
bit-
You've been talking for like
I'll-
25 minutes.
I'll end on this. He
And a little
required
aggressive.
Christian practice in the army and referred to his troops as Christian soldiers.
Okay, are you done?
I mean, I can go on for days.
No,
but I'll
no,
pause.
I'm cutting you off.
I'm already letting you know. You don't want to cut me off. You can't cut me off. I already cut myself off.
I can cut you off by one click of a
Can't
button.
triple stamp but double stamp.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. I think we should.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm not going to think anything. I'm going to state.
Let's hear the reasons why you think maybe he wouldn't be.
Okay.
I think I've laid out a fairly decent case, and I didn't cover it all.
Well, here's the first thing there, Mr. Sir Josh. Well, why you make a compelling case, and I will give you that. I just got started. I wasn't that funny.
That was one sentence in.
Order. All right.
Oh, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready when you are.
Thank you, mean judge. What Judge Maddie, not Judge Judy. All right. So here, I'm sorry, you're my friend. I didn't mean that. You stuck up for me. All right. Here's the problem with his faith. If I'm gonna argue against his faith,
That's why you're here.
I'm breaking it down into 4 pillars. Okay. The first pillar is this, Josh, and you didn't even mention this so conveniently, but what you did reference in your Doctrino Validario, I made that up, but basically saying your validating doctrine was partially the Mount Vernon Accords, the Mount Vernon historical record. Agreed?
That was one of my sources I referenced. Yeah.
I will use the same source to tell you this, Josh. It states in those same Mount Vernon, they're not accords, but the Mount Vernon writings, that Washington was notably private about his personal religious beliefs. Further, Josh, they explicitly say, Mount Vernon explicitly says, firm, concrete conclusions are difficult, and that he has been described across a wide range from deist to believing Christian. So that's just my first pillar. I got 3 more. 3, Josh, 2, 3. The first one is this. Don't we think that his own estate, the great Mount Vernon up here in our neck of the woods, which we should visit, by the way, all these places, that'd be cool, says it themselves that he can't have a concrete conclusion. Don't you think if he was a Christian, they would have explicitly stated, this is his estate he's left behind. He was a Christian man. They don't say that. Number 2. He did often, that part of 1B, he would use terms like generic, such as providence, heaven, or great author, very routinely in the minimal writings that he did do. All right, this is point number 2. Pillar number 2. Reputation problem. Back to what you said. This is the same thing you said. He went to church. He was this, that. I would argue there's possibility that he simply did that because being viewed as respectable you would want to be in that society, especially as the president and the other things you did, being viewed as respectable and religious. So to do that, you could be viewed as respectable and religious in the 18th century Virginia, but it does by going to church, but it does not automatically establish Orthodox Christianity, which was our 2 requirements, Protestant or Catholic faith, Josh.
Oh, we did that.
Number 2. That was number 2. Number 3. This isn't the most damning, but I thought it was. I was trying to set it up, but it's not. Number 3. The major weakness is this: the lack of explicit affirmation of core Christian doctrine, which includes the Trinity, which includes the divinity of Christ, which includes the atonement, the resurrection, the salvation. He doesn't talk about it publicly. His own accords say that. And then number 3B is he's got consistent preference when he does write for broad language, providence, heaven, great author, not Jesus Christ and the resurrection, okay? That's lastly, and this is the most damning of all of them. Did you know, Josh, our man himself,
Georgie,
OGW, has reports that indicate he often left before communion and the Lord's Supper. The communion and the Lord's Supper is the breaking of the body as a symbolic gesture that he did that for you, right? So if I were a deist or a theist that believes in one God, I could leave. I could go to church, I could attend, and I could leave prior to communion because I don't believe in that aspect of it, which a guy we're going to talk about next doesn't. And I could be squarely a person of faith, but not a Christian, because if I was a Christian in a Protestant or Catholic faith, wouldn't I probably be taking communion? He did not. And in fact, Mount Vernon, once again, notes conflicting reports on whether he participated at times, but the pattern of avoiding communion is one of the strongest facts against a robust Christian reading. Josh, I rest my case.
Okay, I'll answer those claims. Not all 4, but 3. I think that's all I wrote. I missed one. If I did, you can call me on it. The first one, you mentioned the Mount Vernon claims of described from time to time somewhere between deist, and you have to forgive me, I wrote like scrap notes, described somewhere between deist and Christian faith. It's hard to pin it down, so on and so forth.
Deist to believing Christian was simply what I said.
Yeah, so we're saying that off the cuff, if we're going to believe Mount Vernon as a good historical document,
which you cited,
you can say they don't or they are. I mean, I'm good with either. But if we're going to say they are, then we automatically have erased atheist, agnostic, and theist. We're stuck on deist and Christian, right?
I mean, you're not allowed to ask me questions here, but
okay. So,
but yes,
I would argue your point to the next one. I would take that same logic to defend the
The
first
second
one.
one was reputation about going to church
The first one was you
because of
said,
the society.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your big condemning point was what you believed. You said, I believe that going to church and being a member of a church would make him more respected as a religious man and does not establish faith. So he's trying to fake the funk, to front it for his personal gain. I would point that same line right back to Mount Vernon, because what's Mount Vernon but a business? If they start claiming too much Jesus Christ in 2026, they're going to get less attendees. So there's my argument to that. But I think the best argument you made, and the one that's probably going to be the biggest hang up for anyone, which is why I don't really love this trial jury thing, although it was my idea. Stupid.
He hates his own idea.
Because I like our conversations better.
I think this is great.
Is the communion piece. But I would...
We could turn it into a debate for the next one. We don't have to do a trial.
I could go harder than what Mount Vernon said about that. Because if you find other documents, you'll find that his own pastor openly chastised him for not taking communion. In fact, not only did he not take communion, he left at communion. That's the words of his pastor.
Yeah, left.
Now, how do you square that? Well, I would argue this. Now, just follow me and you tell me what y'all think. Catholics, Anglicans, and Episcopalians take communion every week, Matt. Baptists do it about every 5 weeks. Are Baptists less Christian? Maybe by this standard they are. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny.
But
I'm going to have one of these lifesavers.
I would say this. George Washington also told his pastor, after being chastised, he said, Pastor, it'll never happen again. So on the days when they had communion, he didn't attend. Now, this was also, understand that Catholicism is here. Anglican and Catholic are kind of like what Diet Coke is to Coca-Cola. That's what Episcopalian is to Catholic. It's like Catholic light. Catholics believe that when they take communion, that the wafer and the wine actually turn into the blood and body of Christ. I submit to you that George Washington thought that was heresy. And that's why he didn't want to participate in it. But I think that's the hardest evidence in your case. That's the bigger one. But the one I would go back to is the letter at the same website, Mount Vernon website. His step-granddaughter who lived with him at Mount Vernon said, to call my grandfather anything but a devout Christian is complete heresy, because I woke every morning to find him over his Bible at his table with a candle in front of him praying. I think that's an eyewitness testimony.
Over the Old Testament.
Maybe. I mean, I can't say which, but
I hate arguing against Washington. He's a dude, but I'm going to do it.
I'm going to say, in my opinion, while most scholars that I've looked up and read about land somewhere between deist and believing Christian, I think if we're being intellectually honest and biblically honest, I think the areas where he mentioned his faith explicitly in Christ, I think it does line up with a person of his station, of an educated Virginia gentleman, a senior officer, and his fear to create a one doctrine religion type country.
Yeah.
That's all. So I land on Christian, on George Washington, unequivocally. More so than most Christians I know today. I think the evidence is in his favor than theirs.
You rest your case? You rest your case?
Unfortunately, including my own. I rest my case.
Judge.
He was watching the basketball game. He didn't hear a word we said.
No, I was.
There's no basketball game on right now.
Nope, not until 8:50.
I knew he'd know.
All right. So I did a little bit of research on my own. In that 1783 circular letter, he says, I now making my earnest prayer that God would have you in the state which you reside in his holy protection that would incline, blah, 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 blah. So definitely I'm on the same. It's either Christian, deist.
Well, can I ask you this, Judge? Deist, remember the D stands for God don't operate in the world anymore.
I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done. I'm just narrowing it down. So he mentions that God.
I'm really enjoying
not
this.
God's
This
up.
is great.
So it's definitely one of Christian, deist, or theist.
Okay.
But in that 1779 Delaware address speech, this is what he says according to this. I gotta find it again. Okay, so he was talking to that speech you were talking about. He was talking to the Delaware Chiefs, and this is what he said. He said, talking about, you do well to wish to learn our arts and ways and all above the religion of Jesus Christ. So he says that while he's talking to people. And this
Objection,
is
Your Honor. You are presenting evidence that wasn't presented by the prosecution.
No,
I object to your objection.
he mentioned
This is
it.
working in my favor.
He mentioned it, and I just
The jury is hearing things that didn't come from the prosecution.
he mentioned the evidence, and the jury gets that evidence when they go make a decision.
Fine. Let's get to the point, Your Honor.
Okay, with that being said, I can't make a decision, so I'm gonna have to go deist.
Oh, you went deist.
Okay,
I get it. He's praying and he says Holy Spirit or Great Spirit and all of that. But people can serve in a church. It does their motives. Was he doing it just as a front? Like, hey, if I want to put a good image, I have to do this. Because it's having little Johnny show up and serve. But then when he goes home, he does nothing.
Y'all can get hate mail.
Well, now that you said that, Judge, can I re-argue for him being a Christian? Because I feel it's near, okay, is the trial over? So we have settled, because of the judge, on founding father and uncertain. Believer, but uncertain on whether he was a Christian as described by a full believer in Christ. Per our criteria, not by reality. Defined specifically by our criteria, right? So here's the thing.
No question, founding father.
All right, Josh.
No question.
Well, then now that's closing over, we're going to decide whether we like that, because we may outvote the judge here too. Nothing.
No, I mean, you can't. I mean,
Well, the only question I have with yours is the first quote you read from
I
which
hate
one
this
that
game
was.
now.
It's so awful.
We weren't supposed to come to that conclusion.
Listen, what does it say? You read it.
I now making my earnest prayer that God would have you. So that means
Okay, stop.
God is okay.
So he's saying, I make it my earnest prayer, implying more than one prayer. This is my most earnest prayer that God will have you. Read the deist definition. They believe in a creator God, but he's an indifferent and does not care. I say on that statement alone, deist is off the list. Go ahead.
No, we're done. This has been settled. The judge put his ruling, and I think the prosecution and defense, now that we're taking our hats off,
Judge makes wrong rulings every once in a while.
we'll simply put a question mark. I mean, he was clearly a believer, but in terms of like, there's less. Here's what we'll say. Okay, now that that's over, here's the thing about it, and this is why this is going to be
closing the book on George.
You're such a good experiment, is because, or I guess a good exploration, because this is the point. This is why people argue this, because there's just not a bunch of clear, hard evidence.
Okay.
And sometimes it can be gray.
But can you agree this? I don't disagree with either of you completely. I have a couple different views.
Can I give you my real opinion?
Yeah.
I just argued this, and I almost feel slimy because of it. Because
you have been so slimy for the last
patriotic
hour.
well, guess what? I get to argue the yeses next one, and you get to be slimy. So, but I almost feel like a heretic even saying arguing this out loud. But I'm doing it because
it's fair.
It's being fair to this process,
and we don't want.
But in reality,
fake it out.
There's no way this guy isn't a Christian.
Well, I would agree with you.
But we will have to say that we are a question mark for the purposes of intellectual honesty on the show.
Well, even his own website as if he had the website of his
Yeah.
of his estate says Christian leaning deist. Because let's be honest, man. I can name some people in our church.
We told you we'd shoot you guys straight. Like, we didn't mail that in, Josh.
No, we didn't. So I could name some guys in our church that if you would look at their online footprint and letters they wrote and things they posted on the internet, which would be the equivalent of letters, it would be hard to say they were a Christian, you know?
Yeah.
But for this podcast, could you look at my Facebook page and be able to determine my faith according to these standards? That would be very hard.
Right. I'm just keeping track
So
of
yeah,
my list here.
I'm okay with that ruling.
All right.
But I still argue, in my personal opinion, 100% unequivocally, this is a praying Christian man who believed in Christ Jesus and the Gospels.
All right. Well, we made it to the end. I'm going to write this.
You're
up
not
here.
wrong to say question mark, though.
Here's what I think we'll probably do with that episode, because we're an hour 15 in. We can either cut it into 2.
Nope, it's going to be one episode.
Sir, he spoke. Man, you are really taking this judge thing serious.
Wait, no, we're doing these once a week. You may get a longer episode on Monday.
Not a bad point. Not a bad point. All right. So, founding.
Hey, and if you object, send us an email.
Yeah, sure.
Give us your thoughts.
Founding fathers list.
I do think
Anything we missed, anything we overlooked.
I do think that the communion thing is a tough one for me, though. You know, because it kind of is a staple of what we believe. But I think we're going to start to see a pattern of that as we go through these guys, where they were kind of bucking against orthodoxy because they came from strict orthodoxy.
Yeah, yes. And here's another argument that I didn't give you because it argues against me, but as a prominent figure, to your point, he represents all the people. And there was different variety Quakers, but they're all Christian people mostly. But he was like, look, they founded this country on the freedom of religion, right? Freedom from religious tyranny, saying you have to believe this because this is what the king believes. So as the leader of this army that's fighting against that, wouldn't you say, look, I'm not going to go out and show you and just do what the king did. I will worship. I will do it privately. You can believe what you want to believe because that's what this country was founded on. And so as the stoic leader he is, which is we can all agree with that, he could have taken the position, I'm not going to be a king and therefore show you the same thing that our king of England did, which is what we just fought against.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't argue that because that wasn't my job. All right. So George Washington. Matty B, I will tell you, you shocked me. I wasn't expecting that. Washington. All right. Founding father. Check. Christian, as according to the kangaroo court we just held.
No, but hey, no, y'all did say groupthink.
All right. That's where we're at.
Huh?
All right. That's what we put. That's what the judge said. We're going to have to re-argue it, relitigate it. But
I'm
okay.
going to get some strongly worded emails.
There are. I don't have them all prepped to argue. So part of this is my own failure as a defense attorney or a prosecution. But do you know that there's over 100 letters that he wrote that are published at the Library of Congress that have prayers in them?
I'll bet some of them mention Jesus.
Should have said that. Would have swayed the vote.
But I don't have any.
Matty's so upset with himself.
No, but check it out, Matty. But if you'd have called me on it as a judge or a dissenting view and said, "Can you give me an example of one of those letters?" It would have been here's sake,
a Roman guy.
I didn't. Yeah, it had been it was written by a Roman dude. Yeah. Anyway,
All
good
right,
episode.
Yeah, great episode.
I didn't love the way it went, though, man. I like having conversation with you guys.
Okay, we can make that change. It'll be more of an open debate, and I'm the moderator.
Open debate. Okay.
He's just
No, but okay, I will say so.
So how does a debate work? It's like a clock with one. You got 60 seconds. I got 60 seconds to rebuttal.
I don't know. We'll talk about it.
It's our
next
debate.
episode,
It's
though.
our podcast.
Yeah, we
the
make up the
podcast.
dang
We make the
rules.
rules. It's not
All
our
right.
podcast.
So
but
here's your
No,
executive.
but I will say this. So the biggest thing is it's pretty. Like Washington and most of his speeches advocated for religious freedom to do whatever. He even said, "For happily, the government of the United States gives the bigotry no sanction to persecute, no assistance. Everyone shall sit in safety under his or own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid."
Very well. All right. So here's your executive summary. Who he was. George Washington was the central public leader of the revolutionary generation, we all agree. Commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, president of the Constitutional Convention, and first president of the United States, obviously. What he did, he led the War for Independence, resigned military power, presided over the convention, laws of presidency, and stepped away after 2 terms on his own, by the way, when they didn't want him to. Best case, now this is an executive summary, so you can make your own decision. Best case, he was a founding father, is that he satisfies all meaningful thresholds except being a declaration signer, and his role in war, constitution making, and executive precedent is overwhelming. The best case he was not is that he was more practitioner than theorist and less of a writer than several other elite founders. The best case that he was a Christian is he had real Anglican affiliation. You argued that. Church leadership roles, you said that. Regular attendance and serious providential language. The best case he was not is that his doctrinal commitments remain unclear. His language is usually generic rather than explicitly Christian, and the communion issue is a major weakness. The final ruling that we came up with in this fake kangaroo court was that he is a founding father and a deist, but not explicitly that. As per our criteria, Christian, you can come up with your own conclusions. All right. So up next on this one, we are going to do next episode, and this one's going to be spicy, Josh. I think this particular episode was spicy. The next episode, according to you,
it needs to be a debate because you have no idea where I'm taking this dude. No idea. I'll tell you. Here's a spoiler. It ain't even on that board right now.
I can't wait. All right, and Thomas, old TJ's next. Old Tommy J. But now we got to go watch these astronauts come out the backside of the moon.
Assuming they actually left the Earth.
We'll talk about that next time. All right, friends. Hey, thanks for joining us and putting up with our antics for the last hour and 20 minutes. Remember this. If you want to get a hold of us, choicepodcastshow@gmail.com. Go on to Facebook, follow, I think is what it's called. And go on to YouTube, click a button that looks like a bell, I think. And you can go ahead and subscribe to the things that we do. We put out content because my good friend and brother, also named TJ, Travis John Albright, and he puts out our social media stuff. And we're not going to tell you that. I'll bring it up next episode. Send us something special. But until then, remember this, friends, that men of the world, they follow trends. But men of the faith, like our good founding father, George Washington, they follow truth.
Make your choice and leave evidence.